All right, the parents are taken care of. They're sitting waiting to talk to their guides. So the young couple, their children, the newlyweds. Oh, what to tell about them? They, it, when they woke up, they had. It's too private to talk about all of them, but when they finally realized they were going to have to go out into the real world uh, and leave that world that they had of their own at the time, and they had thought about playfully arguing whether that was the whippoorwill they heard or the mockingbird. Sort of like Romeo and Juliet in their conversation when they wake up and argue about, is that the lark or is that the nightingale? They're both educated. They do their Shakespeare. They had fun with that sometimes. But in any case, they finally came down from their room. They had put their wedding clothes back on, remarkably so. But remember, Heidi's wedding dress was gorgeous, but in a sort of a Swiss peasant or an Alpine peasant kind of a look, and she'd simplified it some by taking some of the stuff off. But anyway, they put their wedding clothes back on. They had a plan, and they didn't worry about breakfast just yet because they wanted to get a change of clothes. Heidi and Peter had both purposely not brought them because they wanted to see what did people dress like in Earth's Drink. Remember, they knew almost nothing, purposely almost nothing about Earth's Drink when they chose it for their week-long honeymoon. Heidi had just trusted, what's her name now? so many names. Beatrice. Beatrice. When Beatrice had said, "Don't worry, there's plenty here. People come just to do. People come here just for the town itself." So anyway, they went down the path, went across Saddler Creek, and then up the other side. They went past the tower with that food court, and they were a little tempted, but they thought, we'll do that later. Soon. And then they followed that path. It kind of went along the train track, up above it, in through pretty old houses. And they came to that building that Mervyn had pointed out was where the off and on tour guide office was. It had its own little building right there. And they went in. And now, by this time, actually, the two men that I've talked about, Raphael and Professor Burrs, I think was his real name, they had already left because they were going to meet the parents, as agreed. But the two younger women were still there. Beatrice was there, a pretty blonde girl, maybe in her early 20s or 20s probably, and Telly. Now Telly was really young. She was just out of high school, or she might have still even been in high school. No, she was just out of high school, I think. And they introduced themselves and, said it was nice to finally meet Beatrice personally, said Heidi. And, of course, they both really admired Heidi's dress. And, of course, the young couple, since they knew nothing about the town, they had lots and lots to ask. But the question that was on their mind first was they wanted to know if there was a place around where they could buy clothing. They wanted to buy a different set of clothes. They hadn't brought any particular ones with them. They brought some, but not a lot. And Beatrice said, "Oh yeah, of course. What you want to do is just go back that path a little bit that you came here, and then take a right and go down across the railroad track. You'll find there's a little stairway there, and down over the bank, and there you're going to be on West Street." Now, West Street used to be full of little stores, but little by little, those stores are coming back, and one of them that has come back, see what happened was there was a fire that burned that center part of this little town, and it destroyed quite a few of those, maybe 4 or 5 or 6 of those little buildings, stores. There had been a movie theater there. There had been a bowling alley there. These were destroyed in that fire. But two of the ones that have come back were the new Darlene's restaurant, and she'll tell about that later. But the one you want to go to is called Clemens. It's run by Samantha Clemens. And it's little. It'll have, I am guessing, just what you want if you want to feel comfortable here in Erstrink. So they thanked her, said they'd be back before long to talk about her recommendation of what to do with their day. And down they went in there. And when they got in, well, maybe I better just pause here and tell you about what clothes shopping was like. I'll pause. I'll tell you what clothes shopping was like in Erstrink. Bye for now.